Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Did you miss out on the $999.51? Basically $1,000. Did you miss out on the deadline to get that filed with the VA? That's the question. For those that know, you probably already are aware, right? For those that don't know, well, now you're going to be aware, and then you're going to figure it out, and then we can move forward. So with that, let's talk about this special benefit allowance from the VA that equates to $999.51. And we will go from there. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. The two asks are really look. Hit the thumbs up and let the video run. That shares this information with others and helps the channel to increase its reach. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel in other ways, consider being a member. You can do that by going to the home page. You'll see highlighted members, I think, and a join button. If you don't, you can also see the a list of different tabs there. So video, short, members, lives. Hit members and you can go in there and find the join button. Thank you so much to all you members. I really appreciate you so very much. I do my best to get back to your comments as quickly as possible. So with that, let's jump into this specific topic. All right, if you haven't guessed yet, it is the VA clothing allowance, and the VA clothing allowance has a specific file by date to receive the benefit. I'm going to jump into it, share it with you, talk about how you can qualify for the clothing allowance. Again, it's just about $1,000 currently when you need to file it, which we just passed, and also when you can expect your payment. So with that, let's jump into it. If your clothing has been damaged by your prosthetic or orthopedic orthopedic device, such as a wheelchair, or by the medicine you're taking for a skin condition, you may be able to get money each year to help you buy new clothes. This is called an annual clothing allowance. And let's jump into it. Are you eligible for this VA benefit? Here it is. You may be eligible for clothing allowance if you meet these requirements. There are two, and they both must be true. Your prosthetic or orthopedic device damages your clothes. Oh, I guess it's either or must be true. Either or must be true. The first one is your prosthetic or orthopedic device damages your clothes. It's that, or your skin medicine causes damage to your outer clothing, like your pants or your shirt, that can't be repaired. So the key here is it says outer clothing. Outer clothing. Moving on, and this must be true. You need this device or skin medicine because of an injury or illness related to your military service called a service-connected condition. Service-connected condition must be because of a service-connected condition. Moving on, what kind of clothing allowance can I get? You may be able to get an annual payment, a payment you receive once a year, if you meet at least one of the requirements listed here. At least one of these must be true, and there's 3 bullet points. You have more than one prosthetic or orthopedic device. So again, that's you have more than one prosthetic or orthopedic device. Or you have more than one skin medicine, and or your device or skin medicine affects more than one type of clothing. All right. So those are the 3 avenues in. You either have one or more prosthetic or orthopedic devices, you have one or more skin medicines, or you have a device or a skin medicine that affects more than one type of clothing. All right, moving on. We collect, it says here, well, let me move on to this. All right, so to get an annual payment, or if you want to apply for an additional clothing allowance, keyword additional, or if you want to apply for an additional clothing allowance, you'll need to qualify by August 1st of that year. We collect applications throughout the year and hold them until the August 1st closing date. If you qualify, you'll receive your payment between September 1st and October 31st. There is a notation here. It says, if we determine that you no longer meet the eligibility requirements for an annual clothing allowance, we may stop or decrease your payments. Moving on, it says here, do I need to apply every year to get an annual payment? There was recently a change, so for those that don't know, If you received a clothing allowance payment in 2022 or in 2023, you no longer need to submit an application every year to continue to get an annual payment. How convenient is that? Now, I would say that if your condition, your service-connected condition that warrants the clothing allowance is not being tracked by the VA, in other words, you're going to a civilian provider to take care of that and get your prescriptions and whatever it is, maybe you might want to loop the VA in a little bit and order your skin medication or an orthopedic device or whatever it is, right? Keep them in the loop because they're going to track your situation, right? Depending on what it is. Obviously, if it's something that's never going away, if you're in a wheelchair, right, that's a forever wheelchair situation, well, then they're probably not going to follow you on that. But if you have a skin condition that you're utilizing some sort of cream for or whatever, what happens if you stop using that, right? Anyway, let's move on. So it goes on to say, but if you want to receive an additional, that's more than one, additional clothing allowance, you do need to submit an application. So if you've been receiving one clothing allowance over the course of X years, and you want to receive an additional clothing allowance to the one you've already are getting, you do need to submit an application. Moving on, how do I get a clothing allowance? You'll need to submit an application for an annual clothing allowance. That form is 10-8678. 8678. So 10-8678. You can work with an accredited rep, have them help you with that and get that filed. Or you can call the VA, ask them questions, or you can Google search VA clothing allowance. Moving on, there's notation. You must have a service-connected disability to get a clothing allowance. If you haven't filed a claim for disability compensation yet, you'll need to do that first. So, important aspect of it. You can submit your application in any of the ways listed here. So you can do it by mail, you can do it by fax, you can also work with your local VA medical center. My suggestion is go find an accredited rep and talk with them, and they can help you. So again, moving over to the dollar figures, it says here, clothing allowance effective December 1st, 2023, which is when the last COLA, cost of living adjustment, went into effect. We should be realizing another COLA, cost of living adjustment, that should be announced October. And once we get that figure, that should go into effect December 1st, and then that would also be reflected in the annual payment for clothing allowance. So it goes on here to say, though, effective December 1st, 2023, if a skin medicine, prosthetic, or orthopedic device related to your service-connected disability damages your clothes, we may pay you $999.51 to replace the damaged clothes. This may be a one-time payment, or we may pay this amount once a year. Note, you'll need to submit your application on or before August 1st, 2024 to get your clothing allowance for this year. So, just a gentle reminder, that time has passed, which means that if you submit one now, the VA will hold on to it until next August and then pay you out within a month or two after that. So, you're talking about a year and a month or two from now if you were to file one. So, with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.